3 months after its executive director resigns, Alberto Carrion takes over the helm at Carpenter's Place as someone who has an extensive background in the nonprofit sector. WIFR's Alyssa Kelly talks with Carrion on his renewed vision for the organization and a Carpenter's Place employee who has worked with Carrion in the past.
Alberto Carrion tells me he has been involved with the Salvation Army for many years. He says that translated into him selecting a career in the nonprofit area.
I've always been impressed by Alberto and the way that he leads in organizations.
Alberto Carrion got involved in local nonprofits more than 13 years ago, fueling his passion to serve the Rockford community.
This opportunity came up and I thought it'd be a wonderful opportunity to use my skills to really make an impact for folks who are facing homelessness in the community.
While Carrion may be just settling into his new role, he says he has ideas on how to build upon the organization's foundation.
So one of the things that we really want to look at is really building a strategic plan around how do we really take our services to the next level, how do we serve people more.
At its core, Carpenter's Place is critical to the city of Rockford. According to Carrion, he says homelessness is a problem.
I've spent the majority of my career running programs and helping nonprofits really expand their impact in the community, and so I really want to be able to do that for Carpenter's Place.
Miranda Swanson has worked with Carrion in the past. She says he knows how to rally support from community members.
I think that our plan is to continue and to improve the services that we provide to rebuild lives, and I think that he has a great vision for what that looks like, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Carrion says he is passionate about the work of Carpenter's Place and has plans to engage the community to focus on areas that can help to serve Rockford and its community members.
Carrion also started his career in direct service and case management. He says this gives him an understanding of what it takes to be in the new leadership role at Carpenter's Place.